Welcome to the world of rare disease, a show that focuses on awareness and education about rare and complex disorders. My name is Lisa Deck. I'm a rare disease patient, a Rare New England board member, and your host for today's show. Today, our show features Julie Croner, a patient advocate who works as the Vice President of the Patient Leader Network at WEGO Health. WEGO Health is a mission-driven company connecting healthcare with the experience, skills, and insights of patient leaders. Today, our show will talk about how WEGO connects patient leaders within their network with healthcare companies of all types in order to incorporate the patient perspective and expertise into every stage of the product lifecycle. We're thrilled to have you here today. Thank you, Julie.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for having me. Love to talk about this stuff.
Yeah, it is obvious because I can tell. So can you tell us a little bit more about WEGO Health beyond its mission statement? I think you put a very nice personal touch on it.
Sure. So WEGO Health is a network of over 100,000 patient leaders, and we consider someone a patient leader who is out there using their story or the story of a loved ones to go and help make change in healthcare. So they are really the individuals who are leading the charge for patients and caregivers to get a little bit more information, to feel a little less alone than maybe they were when they were in their shoes, and to connect and collaborate with healthcare companies who are looking for their insights and the community's needs and wants.
Awesome. That's great. And how do patients get involved in WEGO Health?
Yeah. So we really focus on the patient leader. So they are the individuals who are out there advocating for their cause. So maybe they're working with a foundation or a nonprofit. Maybe they've started a Facebook group or a blog or an Instagram account to share their story, or perhaps they are utilizing business or professional skills and actually consulting with healthcare companies to go and actually make change in the organization. So we work with these key opinion leaders of the patient community. And anyone can sign up. You can just, you come to WEGO Health, and we have opportunities and resources to help build you up at whatever part of the spectrum that you're on. But then we take these individuals and we connect them with healthcare companies who are really looking to utilize their insights or to really help to work with them to collaborate and create content that they can get out into the patient communities.
Excellent. So I know I'm thrilled to be a patient leader working with WEGO. And it's
We're thrilled to have you.
Thanks. And it's kind of one of those things you don't really like go looking for it. Suddenly it appears and you're like, oh, this is amazing. And there's so many things I can do.
Oh, I know.
I think today I want to focus a little bit on the healthcare side. So I know the goal is to impact the healthcare industry. So how does that work with healthcare companies? So looking at the other side, not the patient side, but how does the patient perspective get pushed into this healthcare to make a difference?
Right. So at WEGO Health, at the core of what we do, we really want to make sure the patient voice is heard in every capacity that it can be at every stage of the process. So, whenever a company is preclinical trial, whenever they're developing their clinical trials, they really need to consult a patient key opinion leader on what does that community need? What do they want? How are they best going to be served by that clinical trial so that they are adherent and that they can actually do that trial? And then when it moves into approval and then, beyond into marketing, every part of the process, we need to have patient voices at the table. And, I think that when I first started in this, it was really kind of a checkbox of, okay, we consulted some patients, we're good, move on to the next step. But I do see that healthcare now has in their strategic plan of, we have to incorporate the consumer in what we're doing. So what we like to do is make it a little bit easier for them to connect with these key opinion leaders in the patient community. So we host, market research opportunities. So we'll bring in, say, 10 key patient leaders within a condition area, and we'll talk about their insights and the community needs and wants. And then we'll also utilize them in content capacities and influencer marketing capacities as well.
Right. So that's interesting, because I know when I asked you prior to our call, those were kind of the three different ways that patients can get involved. And I was hoping maybe you could give an example of each of those, market research, content, and influencer marketing.
Sure.
I know that
Sure.
if you have a marketing background or you're familiar with this, you might know, but I'm guessing there's a lot of people who don't know what exactly that means.
Yeah. So, we are not a typical market research company. Whenever we do have insight opportunities, we are again pulling from that key opinion leader pool. So let's take Moya Moya, for example. Say we're working with a brand that's focused on that condition. We would go and we would pull together, let's say 8 patient leaders in that community. So we'd bring them to the table. And of course, they're going to tell you their own story and their own struggles and how they feel. But the amazing thing about patient leaders is that they're not necessarily just bringing their own story, they're bringing the collective story of the community. So they're going to share that, but then they're also going to say, hey, whenever I'm talking to patients, I'm hearing X, Y, and Z. Hey, these are the top needs and the wants of the community. These are ways that a company can come in and really help bridge a gap that we currently have in this community. So we really focus on utilizing not just their own personal experiences, but the collective experience when we do these market research opportunities.
Awesome. That's great. And then content. So I know I've done a project or two.
Yes.
Content, and I'd love for you to tell us what that means.
Yeah. So whenever you talk to the patient community, a lot of times they get fired up about the content that is out there in the market. So you think about the pharmaceutical companies of actors portraying patients and caregivers and how a lot of times they're unrealistic. So whenever we create content, we want to feature a patient or caregiver in this content, and we want to co-create it. We want to hear their story. We want to hear what their community really thinks they need and want in this piece of content. So, we do content pieces that maybe stand alone and live on a healthcare company site. But a lot of times we do content with our influencer marketing. So we'll work with a healthcare company who has information about a certain condition. And then we go find the patient leaders who are in that condition within our network and then create content with them. So they're helping us create the images, the videos, the copy that would go out. And then what we really focus on is influencer marketing and getting that message out there. So utilizing those patient leaders, their social channels, and then, all the social channels, posting it on there and getting it out to their community. So it's not necessarily the healthcare company that's getting it out, but it's actually coming from a patient or a caregiver who has that lived experience to the community.
Right. And I think there is personal satisfaction for patients, but there is also compensation and ways that do, their voice is valuable. And I think that's important to know as well.
That's very important. And I'm glad you brought that up because as a company, we feel very strongly that if you are utilizing any patient leader in what you're doing, they deserve to be compensated. If a company was utilizing a doctor or somebody else like that in a consulting capacity or sharing message, they would compensate them. So we never do anything with healthcare companies unless we compensate the patients and caregivers.
Great. And I know the other thing, so I first became a patient over 20 years ago, and their patient voice didn't matter. I mean, I was young, but the doctors talked at me.
Right.
And which was, again, I was young and I didn't know any different. But now that 20 years later, I understand that being an advocate, I have a right and I have a voice. But I'd love for you to speak to the patient voice and what it means in the work you guys are doing, because I think the patient voice now matters. And I think power to that. So I'd love for you to talk about what that means and how these companies, what they think about the patient voice.
Yeah, it's phenomenal to work with some of these companies because exactly what you said, when I first started in all of this, I mentioned before, I think it really was like a checkbox of, okay, we consulted some patients, but now I work with brand teams that really want to get to know these individuals and they really want to know their stories and they want to know the communities, the community in and out. So it is so it's invaluable for companies to not only be listening to patients, but be listening to these patient leaders, because they're bringing the insights, they're bringing the what their community wants, but then they're also taking that message back and they're trickling it down to their community. So they're, whenever you partner with these companies, the patient leaders are then going in and disseminating that trust of that company down into their community as well. Because I think that as a whole, when you think about the pharmaceutical industry, there can be such a negative connotation. But I will say that working with some of these brands, I've been blown away with how genuine each and every one of these individuals are and how they want to help the patient community. So just being able to bring those patient leaders in and have a seat at the table, I do think is helping to shift the trust factor of the industry at large.
Right. Excellent. Well, thank you. I think that is all the questions I have. I don't know if you have any final comments or tips for anybody watching this about WeGo Health and the healthcare industry.
I would just say that, healthcare companies want to connect with you. They want to know your story. They want to know the community. So if you want to take that leap and share your story, we are here and would love to talk to you and love to help you. Come join the network. And we can help you get some opportunities to do that.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.
Before closing, we provide our viewers with an opportunity to share comments or questions. Rare New England in Motion is the perfect way to expand upon our mission of engaging in the community. Please send us any questions or comments to info@rarenewengland.org. This show, along with all our shows, can be found on the Rare New England YouTube channel and on our social media links. We will have a Facebook Live on the fourth Monday at 5:30 p.m. of each month for you to watch a screening and then have a question and answer with our guests. We would also like to thank our show sponsors, Pfizer, Ultragenics, Vertex, Horizon, and the law offices of Weiner, Jackson, and Simmons for your continued support. We are always looking for other sponsors and guests, so please reach out to us via our Rare New England website. Thank you again, Julie, for coming.
Yeah.
It was awesome to have you. We've been talking about this for a while, so I'm thrilled to share WeGo Health with our viewers.
Thank you. Thank you for having me and helping share the message.
Of course. And from all of us at Rare New England and all the patients and families who keep rare disease in motion, thank you for watching. And remember, when you hear hoofbeats, think horses and then think zebras. Thank you.